Hey, is Donald Trump a little bitch? You heard it here, folks. You heard it right here. Donald Trump is, in fact, the ghost did call him a little bitch. And that's this morning's ghost news. Anyway, so my name is Isabella and welcome to my haunted house party. I remade my channel because I'm pretty sure my dance teachers found my other one and I was all like uncomfortable with that because I sure do talk about lesbianism a lot. Like, I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable. Like, there's nothing bad on my channel, just I would like to be able to say fuck as many times as I want without my dance teachers being in class. Like, can you like tone it down on the fuck word a little bit, Isabella? And I can be like, no, I fucking cannot. Fuck. Fuck. So, we're remaking channels. Also, here we are. We're in Ohio now, everyone. And when you last saw me, we were still in Missouri. So it's been a long time since I made a video, but we're in Ohio now. Yay! And y'all, God, can you see this? It's falling off my shoulder. The 80s would have loved me. I decided I didn't like my hair up like that. But like, so I feel like it's only appropriate that since I remade my channel, I redo my video because it's been a while and I've grown as a storyteller since I told you the video. The video? Never mind, I haven't grown as a storyteller. I still don't know how to talk. But I feel like it's been a while since I've told you my ghost stories. And I feel like there's significantly more people on my blog than there was back in June. So we are gonna discuss some ghosts today. Hell yeah. So if y'all don't know, I used to live in Missouri. And in Missouri, I lived in a very fucking haunted house. The verdict is still out as to whether this thing that was in my house followed me here to Ohio, because I have seen a few weird stuff here in Ohio, but I'm also kind of clairvoyant. So I just see weird shit all the time, so. Let's play a game called Is It a Demon? Or is it just like the guy, George, who lived here like 50 years ago and just died on the land? And I'm just seeing him like, what's up? And he's like, what's up? So, this whole mess started. Like, let's start at the very beginning. I've always been, like, super, like, weirdly clairvoyant. It's something that runs in my, like, dad's side of the family. I don't know why. My tia was bitten by a radioactive spider, and now we all see dead people, obviously. No, but, I've always, like, when my mom used to put me down for naps when I was, like, 2 years old, or like 3, I used to always tell her, you can't let me go to sleep, you know, like if I go upstairs, like the lady in white will get me. And my mom used to be all like, okay, I'm taking you back. My childhood is just my mother going, can I return this? I'm kidding. Wait, no, I'm not. Am I? We'll see. Hello, I'm Isabella. And I'm sometimes don't know whether I'm joking about my trauma or not. What? Who said that? Anyway, so I used to like, I've been seeing stuff for a while, okay fam? Like I used to see stuff standing at the edge of my grandmother's bed and I used to be like, there's a man there. And I used to have like dreams about like dead relatives and then like, I remember specifically, I had a dream about my grandpa and I didn't see his face. Like, I was like about, again, I was like 3 years old. I remember having a dream about my grandfather, and we were at my grandmother's house, and there was this long hallway, and it was all dark, and I could only see the silhouette of this other person. And I knew it was my grandpa. Like, the, like, energy he gave off, like, I knew it was him, and I was like, oh, hi, Grandpa, what the fuck is up? And then, like, after I had that, dream, the very next day, I went over to my grandma's house, and I'm like, where's Papa? And my grandma was all like, he's dead. And I was all like, oh, yay, this is gonna cause a lot of emotional baggage for me. Yay. I'm kidding. It didn't give me any emotional baggage. I was like 3. I didn't understand the concept of death. I was just all like, fuck. It's a pretty long vacation, bud. I swear, I hear things moving in this apartment when there's nothing there. Anyway, so yeah, like, I've seen weird stuff for a pretty long while, but in this house, it all started like 6 months after we moved in, and I remember this is when it started. This is when everything like went to shit, is when we were in our basement. Everyone was there, like my mom was there, my sister was there, my dad was there. We were all chilling, and how it was set up is, so I was playing Pixie Hollow because it was 2010 and I was living my best life. And I was playing Pixie Hollow, and my computer was right next to the screen door. And I remember hearing this knock on the screen door, and it just sounded exactly like this. It was like, and I was like, Mom, what the fuck was that? And my mom was all like, it was an insect. And I was like, so Mom, mother, birth giver, fuck, you're gonna sit here and tell me that knocking, that very specific knocking was a bug? And might I ask, what demonic fucking bug would make that noise? Just so many questions. Anyway, so I was like, okay, that's not a bug. Second of all, no. All incorrect. And I lean back. 10-year-old me, so unsuspecting, leans back in her chair, looks out the door, and sees a man who, it kind of looks like, if you've ever seen like a reflection in glass, like it looks like a person. It definitely is a person, but it looks kind of see-through. Like, not in the movies necessarily, like not that type of like see-through, but it definitely looks like misty, you know, but it looked like a person. And I saw him. He would start walking, he'd stop, he'd disappear, reappear, until we'd start walking again. And I watched him do that like 3 times. And I was looking at him and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what the fuck, dude? And it finally hit me. That's a guy standing on our porch. That's fucking creepy. And so, like any rational human being, I started screaming, like bloody murder. Like, I was like, there's a guy outside! And I like totally flipped my shit, and I like flipped over the side of the couch to get away from the screen door. My dad jumps up, he runs out the door, and he's like, he sprinted. And we had a 6-foot privacy fence. So, first of all, if it was a real person, creepy, still creepy, because like, what the fuck are you doing on our like back porch, dude? Like, you know, still creepy. But if it was a real person, how the fuck would he have been able to get over that 6-foot privacy fence within the amount of time my dad jumped up? Like, we had a huge yard. So there's no way a person, unless he was like an Olympic sprinter and like goddamn like could pole vault himself over the goddamn wall. Like he was like I don't know, like it's like Simone Biles or something, just all like I have gymnastics experience, bitches. So unless he was like that, then there's no rational way he would have been able to do that. So my dad gets out there. He's looking all around. There's no one there. He's just all like, interesting. And he's looking everywhere. He doesn't see anything. And then on his way back towards the house, because he searched the entire yard, and on his way back to the house, he sees something. And he comes back into the house and he's all like, Michelle, can I talk to you in the office for a second? And my parents, they send us upstairs, and I was still like having a mini panic attack because I was all like, people. And my mom was like, oh, it's fine, go upstairs, everything's all right. So I go upstairs and my mom comes up like 10 minutes later and she asks me what I saw exactly. And I described what I saw. I saw a guy who looked like he was made of mist and he didn't have any legs. And my mom was all like, your dad saw the same exact thing. And me and my dad hadn't told each other what we had seen, like, because my dad immediately sent us upstairs. So there was no way we could have organized this. So my mom just goes, nice. So that was our first experience. And sorry, I just like blocked the entire camera with my thumb. I'm sorry. So that was the first experience of many more. I want to die. And so after that, it would basically become a cycle where we'd go through periods of time where the house was really like, there was a lot of paranormal activity. Like it just became a regular thing. Like we would, for the first couple of months, we would see these shadows like walking around. And we wouldn't tell anyone, like either of us, because everyone would think that I was just like, oh, it's your hair, or like, oh, it's just like a passing car, and like, you know, it's just like regular things. But like, it got to the point where like you would feel like someone was like constantly watching you, and like it would make like hairs raise on the back of your neck, and you'd feel like you were in danger. Like that's the best I can explain it. Like you'd feel like you were like in actual like fucking danger if you would stay in that spot any longer. Like something was gonna come out and like get you. Like, which sounds horrifying, and it was like that's how it was up until I left. Like you would get there, like you would be in certain spots of the house, and if you were stood there for like too long, it would feel like something almost didn't want you there. Especially like in the middle of our house, like we had a staircase. That fucking staircase was the worst thing ever. Like we had one on the bottom floor and we had one on the top floor, and that was the direct middle of the house. And for some reason, there was just this constant feeling of like you were being watched if you were standing like in the middle of the house. So we still don't know why. Just that there was just that specific part of the house. Like the other, like you'd still feel kind of uncomfortable in other parts of the house, but just for some reason that like direct middle was the worst place to be. So other stuff started happening. We started seeing shadows, and then the next thing that happened was a few months after we saw the guy, my mom and my dad, they were home alone, and we had a very open plan house, so you can hear everything that's going on like everywhere. And so my mom was washing the dishes, my dad was on his computer, and all of a sudden they hear, and it sounds like it's almost over a landline, they hear a voice, and I'm not gonna say the fucking name. I'm not gonna say the fucking name, but it starts with a Z. I'll spell it out. No, I won't. I believe there's like a lot of power in names, but it starts with a Z, basically. It said, I'll say something else. It started with a Z, so replace the S's with Z. And it said, so. I don't like it. So it said that. And it sounded like a little girl, and like she was over a landline. And no one was there. Me and my sister weren't there, so it wasn't us. Like, that would have been the only like reasonable explanation, but it wasn't us. So after a little while, my mom goes, did you hear that? And my dad was all like, fuck. Like, they both heard it, and they still have no idea what that was. And then, so that was one thing that happened. And then, a few weeks after that, I was home alone. And my mom and my sister, my dad was at work, my mom and my sister had gone to the store. And I heard footsteps, like I was chilling in my room, like reading Harry Potter and being that Slytherin bitch. And all of a sudden I hear footsteps outside my like door. And I was like, that's weird. I didn't hear the garage open. Like I thought it was my mom and my sister that had finally come home. But I was like, that's weird. Like I didn't hear my garage open. Like, so sounds like things are moving. I'm sorry. So, I go outside my door and I'm looking around. I heard these footsteps, like as clearly as I could hear, like someone, like it sounded obviously like it was footsteps. So go out, looking around. I don't see anything, and all of a sudden I get this urge to look up the stairs, which is still the direct middle of the house. I look up the stairs, and standing on the staircase is this little girl, like about 10 years old. I don't Sometimes when you see her, she looks like she's 10. Other times when you see her, she looks like she's more like in her 20s. It's weird. It's like you're seeing her like weirdly throughout her lifetime. I don't know. Um, but I saw her. She was standing up on that staircase. She had like this, not, I don't know, not a nightgown, but like, it was like this old fashioned like dress. And like she had really long dark hair. And I was like looking at her, and I was like, you. You, you got me. You got me good, fam. And I started screaming, and like she was looking directly down the stairs, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking like right past me, like she was like staring at something, and she was like looking down there, and I was just. I started fucking freaking out. I like ran back to my room, slammed the door shut, which I don't know what I felt like. I was barricading my door, like I was up against it, like just keeping it shut, and I was like sobbing, and I was calling my mom, and I was like, mom, there's something in the house, and she was like, are you being robbed? Like she started freaking out, and I was like, no, it's a little girl, and my mom was like, okay. And so my mom comes home, and I told her about it. She was like, oh, you just seen things, like, like she didn't really believe me. She just thought I was pulling on her leg. And I was like, okay, great. I didn't sleep at all. Other things that have happened that are absolutely horrifying was one night I woke up to the sound of a lady saying my name over and over. She was like, Isabella. And again, it sounded like it was happening over a landline. And she was saying my name like, Isabella, Isabella. And I was sobbing. Like, the recurrent theme here is every time I see something spooky like that, I start crying. Sorry, I thought I heard something. So, yeah. That happened. Now I can't go to sleep without something on because I have this recurrent fear that I'll hear something saying my name in the middle of the night, and I don't want that. So, other things that have happened in the house is my dad has seen the little girl. Anytime he leaves their bedroom door open, especially if he's sleeping in there alone. Like if me, my mom, and my sister, I do dance, so we go on trips a lot, and my dad would leave the door open so the dogs could go in and out of the room. And a lot of the times he'd take a nap in the middle of the day, or like he'd fall asleep and he'd wake up, or he'd have a dream where he'd see the girl standing either at the end of the bed or in the doorway. Which is the creepiest thing I've ever heard. But it wouldn't happen if he kept the door shut. So my dad has this rule now. He's all like, you gotta keep the fucking door shut to our bedroom, okay? Which I don't blame him, because that's creepy as fuck. My mom, recent stories, because like this is a thing that's been happening all the way up until I moved. I've been scratched. I was sitting at our kitchen table, and my mom saw like a shadow run up the stairs, and she was like, I see you, like you ain't shit. Like she was like something along those lines, like she was taunting it. And I was sitting there at the kitchen table, and I just feel someone like run their like nails down my back, and I still was like, it didn't really hurt as much as I was just like fucking shocked by it, because it felt like an actual person like just took like their nails and just went like that. And I was like, something just scratched me. And my mom was like, stop shitting me. And I was like, no, check my back. And so my mom lifts up my shirt, and like she pauses for a minute, and she doesn't say anything, and she's all like, there's three, like she took me to the mirror, and I looked at my back, and sure enough there was 3 scratch marks in the middle of my back. And I was like, something just glitched on my phone and I didn't like it. So yeah, that happened. Other things that have happened are my mom, like this happened like a month before I moved out. So I'm trying to think how to tell this. So my mom was walking past my sister's room and she sees my little sister in the middle of the room, curled up in a ball. And my like any like caring parent who's like obviously kind of like worried, like, what are you doing? Like she goes, are you okay, Gabby? She like asks like Gabby, like, what are you doing? And my sister responds from up in my mom's room, what? She's like, what? And my mom's all like, she's like, what the fuck? Cause that obviously wasn't my sister then. And so she looks back. She looks from her room. She looks back into my sister's room. And as she looks back into my sister's room, she sees the thing like kind of lifting its head up, and she starts screaming. She slams the door, and she's all like, like my mom. I've never heard my mom scream except for that, like that. She was all like, "Holy shit!" and she like slammed the door. So there's that. There's other things that have happened. There were times where my mom was cleaning the garage and she'd hear knocking, like repetitive knocking on the garage door as she was cleaning. That sounded like this. You know, pleasant, great, fun sounds. And she'd hear that, and that's the creepiest thing I've ever heard. We have messed with the Ouija board in my house, but it was after we were having these experiences and we wanted to like get in contact with it. And it said the little girl's name was Eleanor, but I don't believe that for a second. My chest is starting to get really tight. Oof. Oof. Holy shit, hold on. I just got a really unpleasant feeling, so I think I'm gonna stop the video here. But I might make more videos. I don't know. I had a fear that the thing would follow me to this place, but I haven't experienced anything here, so I'm not too worried about it. As far as I know, it's still at my mom's house. So yeah. And yeah, that's the story of my haunted house. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna be making weekly vlogs and stuff like that, and you know, updates on dance and things, and you know, ghost stories. I'll still do that if y'all want me to do that. I feel like the ghost story series was pretty fun, so I'm gonna try and keep that up. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. Stay tuned if you like spooky stuff, and thanks for joining my haunted house party. I'll see you in afterlife. I hated that. I hated everything about that. I'll see you in the afterlife. Fucking block me. Fucking shit.